Okay. New year, new decade, new me. Let's see here. Hmm. Oh, hi there. You guys again. I didn't see you there. Kind of intrusive, really. Well, since you're here, I've been making a list of my resolutions for the new year. Well, maybe the new decade. It's good to pace yourself, you know? I got time. We got time. We got time. But really, do we have time? I mean, it is nice to live in the moment. Aren't we all basically just slowly marching towards death anyways? Live life to the fullest! The truth is, maybe we're not on so much of a slow march anymore, but a running charge. And coming up soon is a brick wall that we're all heading straight for. You might have guessed by now that I'm talking about global climate collapse. It's very real, and it's approaching very quickly. You might have read before about how climate scientists estimate we have about 12 years to make drastic, unprecedented reduction to carbon emissions before climate change becomes irreversible, which will increase the global temperatures by an average of 6 degrees Celsius and lock us into a future of detrimental climate catastrophe that could possibly spell the end of our species, or at the very least, a complete erosion of any way of life as we know it today. But hey, Mad Max looks like he's having fun, right? Where was I? 93! 94! So, of course, the 12-year deadline isn't an exact point. No one is saying that on midnight at New Year's Eve a decade from now, the world is just going to explode. It's just an estimation based on trends in greenhouse emissions and their correlation to global climate change. In reality, no one can be certain of when the tipping point really is. Due to the delay caused by the ocean storing a lot of the heat we've created, called thermal inertia, even if we cut out all emissions today, the global climate will still be turbulent for decades to come. The damage caused by the last 50 years or so, which has increased the average global temperature by about 0.5 to 1 degrees, can already be seen in things like the Arctic ice shelf melting. So we can imagine what a shift of 6 degrees would be like. Or actually, we can't. I remember reading about that 12-year deadline. I also remember reading about it over a year ago, which means we have less than 11 years left at best, and some scientists give us much, much less. But that doesn't mean the deadline isn't a useful tool. It gives us a line in the sand, something to shoot for, something to keep us on target. Just gonna rest for a bit. Think about it like one of those extinction-level catastrophe movies. Imagine a meteor hurtling towards Earth, ready to end life on our planet, and everyone just sits around arguing if there really is a meteor. Or then they all say, okay, so there is definitely a meteor, but there's fuck all we can do about it. Anyways, the new iPhone 14 XYZ is out. And maybe then the world's leading scientists get together and say, hey, we have a difficult but possible way to stop this meteor before it hits us in about 11 years. And the whole world joins together in solidarity to ban plastic straws. In truth, focusing solely on small individual lifestyle choices isn't going to cut it. The true culprit here is the system of capitalist exploitation that we've allowed to thrive and fester. Just 100 corporations are responsible for 71% of greenhouse emissions. These are the institutions bringing about our demise. And it is the institution that's the ultimate problem. Even if these companies wanted to go ethical, it would just give their competition a leg up on them and drive them out of business. If these companies disappeared tomorrow, 100 new companies would just take their place. The only way to fix this is to dismantle capitalism altogether. By creating a socialist system where people work together and share in society's benefits equally, we remove the need for maximizing profits and the damage it necessitates. Going vegan or banning plastic straws is not going to stop this meteor. As long as we live in a system based on profit over humanity, individual lifestyle choices are just a pebble in an ocean. If you don't like contributing to these problems in these small ways, sure, knock yourself out and go as green as you can. I'm not here to chastise anyone for following their moral compasses, but Know that all the time you spend thinking that these choices alone will fix the problem amounts to wasted time. Time that we just don't have anymore. God damn it. If the meteor analogy isn't connecting with you, how about this one? The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists have moved the Doomsday Clock to 2 minutes to midnight. Yeah, that Doomsday Clock. It's a very real thing. Since 2018, it's been the closest in its history to midnight, matched only in 1953 with the invention of the hydrogen bomb. Even the Cuban Missile Crisis, which sent the US into an end-of-the-world panic, was 5 minutes farther away than where we are now. They set it there due to approaching global climate catastrophe as well as increasing threat of nuclear tension that comes with it, because it's not only the environment that will be affected. As resources and land become more scarce, governments are going to become more and more desperate to hold on to their power. Am I frightening you? Good. We should be frightened. This is more than just some hippie love our earth movement. You need to be scared, and you need to act now. But you can hold on to that fear and temper it with hope. Together, we can remove this capitalist system driving us to collapse. Getting active now might just knock that meteor off course. We might yet create a system where we don't just push back the clock, but remove the need for it ever again. It's a new year, a new decade. Possibly the last decade we have to fix this. What are you planning to do about it? So maybe you've started to change your resolutions for this year. But are resolutions even effective? Do they ever actually work? Studies would say no, in fact, they don't at all. 80% of New Year's resolutions fail within a month, and less than 8% after that ever actually succeed. So if that's the case, is there even a point in trying? Yes, if the alternative is sitting around waiting for the world to collapse, the answer is always yes. But if resolutions tend to fail, what's the point? Well, first, let's take a look at why resolutions aren't effective. One big problem is that resolutions lack clarity. Setting your resolution as remove capitalism and fix climate change is, to put it nicely, fucking useless. Don't think in terms of obtuse wishes. Instead, create a plan of action. And plans require goals, precise goals, that build up to support a larger purpose. Start with small, specific, attainable goals and give them a very short deadline. Things like share solid information about socialism with at least 5 coworkers before the end of the week, or research available workers' unions by Tuesday, followed up by join an organization or union within 2 weeks. And make sure you keep building on those goals, getting stronger on each one. Small goals are better than resolutions because they're more precise, attainable, and they also allow for failure. If you don't meet one of your goals, it doesn't derail the whole plan. You give it another try, or at worst, just move on to the next goal. Using your failures as teaching tools, you can increase the success rate of your future goals. And don't keep them to yourself. Share them with others. Make community goals. Hold each other accountable while supporting each other when one falls behind. Lend a hand when needed and take a hand when offered. When one falls, the community picks them back up. Together we can create change. Together is how we save the world. What? This counts. So what did you do last year? Like you, personally. Have you changed? Have you grown? I certainly have. I went from being a liberal to a socialist. I
came out as pansexual, I started this channel you're watching this video on right now. And I'm super proud of what I've achieved this year. But was it enough? The answer is no. And that's the same for you as well. You may have done a lot, and you should be proud of every step you took. But it isn't enough until we create lasting political, economic, and global revolution. Again, you should be proud of every small step you've accomplished. But don't go calling it a day. The fight isn't over. The fight hasn't even truly begun yet. Don't let whatever gains you've made last year go to waste. Make sure to reflect on your achievements last year as well as your failures. What could you have done better? What's your plan for this year? Have you made goals and given yourself deadlines?
And make sure to take note of what was unproductive. Did you spend a lot of your time just arguing online? Sure, that could possibly bring over one person at a time, but more often than not, arguing, especially in online spaces, produces no net benefit, no matter if you win or lose. Rarely does it change anyone's viewpoints, leaving us back at square one. Except now more fractured, with the meteor getting ever closer, that clock ever approaching midnight. Back in 2008, in my hometown of Columbia, South Carolina, the Learjet 60 airplane crashed during takeoff. 4 people, including the 2 pilots, burned to death. An issue with the landing gear caused the plane to overrun the runway, which might have been avoided, except the pilot, co-pilot, and air traffic control were arguing until it was simply too late to correct. While well-intentioned, their fighting was misprioritized, considering the impending danger ahead. How long are we going to fight amongst ourselves while our impending doom is barreling towards us? Some things are worth defending, and some people may prove themselves untrustworthy or dangerous to the movement. But reflect back on all your time spent arguing this past year. Could much of that time have gone into more productive avenues? It's time to stop fighting each other and turn our focus to the beast at our door. What about other misprioritizations? Maybe you, like myself, tend to procrastinate. You'll get around to it soon enough. You'll contact that org next week. That agitprop you'd like to make can wait a little longer. Someone else will probably get a community organization started sooner or later. There's no more time for that kind of thinking. The time for action is now. So, what are you waiting on? No one is going to do it for you, but if you get it started, they just might do it together with you. So ditch your resolutions and plan a revolution. This may be the last decade we have to fix it. And that decade starts with this year. And this year starts today. The clock is ticking. Whether it's to liberation or doomsday is up to all of us.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of old lang syne? Poor old lang syne, my dear, poor old lang syne. We'll take a